In today's lecture, we'll continue from where we had left. We had to continue from the modular programming. So we had done unstructured programming, procedural programming, and today we have to start with modular programming. So let us see what is modular programming. The main program coordinates calls to procedures. It is same as procedural programming. See, in procedural also it's written the main program coordinates calls to procedures. Same here, the main program coordinates calls to procedures. Same thing, the main program coordinates calls to procedures. Like in the previous example we had seen while doing procedural programming, the main program, from the main program we were calling add function. Function is nothing but here procedures. So in modular programming also, main program calls the procedures in separate modules, but the difference is in the separate module. Here in procedural programming, the function was within the same program where the main program was, where the main function was. From that main function, we were calling the function which was in the same program. But here the main program is in different program, and the procedure which I am calling is from the different file of the program. So I'll show you the example for this. You can write your program in Notepad and save the file with the extension .cpp. So here's the file name. The file name with which I have saved this program is 12mod1.cpp. Fine. And here is another program whose file name is 12mod2. This is the name I have given. That means the short for modular I have saved it with. Open with Notepad. So these are the two codes. As you can see, this is the one code and this is the another code. So here also it's a normal program, hash include iostream.h. This is the header file, hash include conio.h. I'll tell you about this later. And this program has main function who is going to return an integer value. That's why the data type for this main function is int. Why I have not used void? Because the function which do not return anything, for that the data type which is used is void. And if the function is going to return some integer value, the data type should be int. So within this main function, there is a function used clr which is clear screen, and what I have done is I've called a function whose name is hello, and then return if the data type of the function is int, then it should have return keyword, and if there is nothing to return, it should return 0 because the data type is int. So, and here's the end of the program. Is there hello function in this program? No, it's not there. It is in some another file. It is in some another module. So the module is here. Okay, in here also I have created a function, simple. I have not used hash include iostream, nothing. Though we can use, but here I have not used. If you'll not use also, then also it's fine, because I only have to access the hello function. So here the hello function is there, and the data type is void because it's not, this function is not going to return anything. So I have used the data type void, and what is this function going to do? It's going to print hello world. That's it. But this code is in different file, and the main program is in the different file. This is the different module. 12th mod 2 is different module, and 12th mod 1 is different module. These two are different modules. So this main program is trying to access the function which is in different module. So let us see the output for this. So to see the output for this, you'll have to save this file in bin folder of your Turbo C++, which you will find in C drive. So here in C drive, I've already saved it. 12th mod 1 and 12th mod 2. I will open it in Turbo C++. I will open 12th mod 2. This file I'm going to open here. Fine. And what was there in 12 mod 1? There was only one function hello. And what that function was going to do, it's only going to print hello world. So let us see if this module can access the function. This module 12th mod 2 can access the function which is in module 12th mod 1. To help this module to access the function which is in 12 mod 1, for that also we'll have to use hash include and the file name in double inverted commas. So in double inverted commas, you have to give the file name, right? The file name from which I want to access the function is 12mod1.cpp. So let us see if it's able to access the function. See, it's not able to catch the output screen because I have not used getch here. If anything like this happens, then what you have to do, you have to go in Windows and click on output. So can you see the output, hello world? How it is printing hello world? Because 12th mod 2, the main function of 12th mod 2 was able to access the function which was in different module whose name was 12 mod 1. Got it? So I'll try to use getch with this. Let us see if anything happens. With return, this creates problem with getch. So with return, it's difficult to use getch with return keyword. See, hello world, it's printing hello world. So before return, you have to use getch, not after return, okay? Otherwise, this won't work. So let's see what's written here in this. The main program coordinates calls to procedures in separate modules. So here the main program was able to access the function which was in different file, separate module, and hand over appropriate data as parameters. Like the parameters we had seen in procedural programming, the values of A and B from the main function, I was able to pass the values of A and B to the function hello. Likewise, in modular programming also, I can pass the parameters from the main function of one module to the another function in different module. Okay, each module can have its own data. Each module can have its own data, that is its own variables values. This allows each module to manage an internal state. Each module is able to manage its internal state, means each module is able to manage its value of the variable. If, for example, in file 1, variable a is equal to 4, and I have given in file 2 variable a is equal to 6. So for module file 1 a is equal to 4, for module 2 a is equal to 6. So they all are managing their own internal state. They both are not independent on each dependent on each other. They both are independent and they are managing their own internal state, and which can be modified by call to procedures of this module. So if file 1 is trying to access, if file 1 is passing the value of variable a is equal to 3 to file 2, then the value of a will be changed from 6 to 3. So that is what it means. It can be modified by call to procedures of this module. So is there any doubt related to modular programming?
Ma'am, modular programming is just accessing another file, right? That is the main difference between programmable and
Yeah,
modular programming.
correct. Actually, there is, can you see in procedural programming, the function was in the same module. Here, module
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a file. But in modular programming, the functions in different file also, different module also can be accessed from the different module.
Fine. So,
So
ma'am, how
that
will we add in this? Like,
what,
एक number होता है, one file, one number is in another file, and one number is in the normal file. How will you
yeah,
add both of those numbers?
here you will have to include the file name like this hash include, and the data, the function which you are trying to access from the file, that file name should be specified here.
If in that file name there is a which is
Correct,
equal to 6, so we then take another function and we add a plus b,
correct,
exactly like that.
correct.
So in this 12 mod 1,
Hmm.
we will basically take one variable with one value, and in the file you're making now you'll take another value, and then you'll add it in another function, in the same function. Is
Correct.
that the okay?
So see,
Okay,
only
I got
what,
it.
see, we don't have to go in detail here. I only wanted to tell you what is modular programming. In modular programming, the functions from different modules can be accessed. Nothing much you have to do. I just want here what I wanted to tell you, that this file 12th mod 2 was able to access the function hello of file 12th mod 1, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is only I want to explain that main program of one module can access the functions or procedures of different module. That's it.
Okay, ma'am.
Nothing much we have to do it in detail here. I only wanted to tell you what is modular programming. And also we can pass parameters from this module to another module. That is what I wanted to explain. Then object oriented programming. What is object? This whole chapter is based on object oriented programming. The programming always revolves around the object. Okay? So in object oriented programming, solve some of, okay, the modular programming. In modular programming, example of modular programming is C++. C++ is a modular programming because just now the example which we saw was an example of modular programming. So C++ falls under modular programming. C++ is also a procedural programming because we saw the example in procedural program. We saw the example of procedural programming in C++. Unstructured programming example was assembly language programming. And C++ is also a object oriented programming. So it has the qualities of all the three: procedural also, modular also, and object oriented programming also. Now, what is object oriented programming? Solves some of the problems which which uh, which we face while following unstructured programming, procedural programming, modular programming. Okay, so it solves those problems. In contrast to other techniques, the techniques we just now discussed. We now have a web of interchanging objects, each housekeeping its own state. In modular programming, we had different modules, different files, and different files were managing its internal state. Instead of different files, this program has objects, and these objects maintains its internal state. Now, what are objects? For example, fruit is a class. In object-oriented programming, we have concepts of class and objects. So, for example, fruit is a class, and mango, banana, apple, these are the objects of class fruits. Okay, so if you relate it with programming, the objects are related to a class, and these objects maintains its internal state. See, this concept will get clearer if we'll see one example of object-oriented programming. So the main concept here in object-oriented programming is it has a web of interchanging objects. This you have to keep in mind. It has a web of interchanging objects. So this entire chapter is based on object-oriented programming. Once you will see the program, you'll come to know what are objects. Each housekeeping its own state. Each object maintains its own state. How? That we will see when we'll see the example. Objects of the program interact by sending messages to each other. The objects, a program has multiple objects, and all the objects can communicate to each other by sending the message. How? That also we'll see when we see the example of objects. Okay. In most advanced approach, it offers many advantages over, it has many advantages if you will compare it with modular, procedural, or unstructured programming. Idea behind object-oriented. This we are just seeing the theory. We will see practically. When we'll see practically, you will come to know what are objects, will come to know what are the class. Just we'll see it theoretically. Idea behind object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is most modern way of organizing program. We are able to organize the program with the help of objects. Here the emphasis is given on the way programs are designed. In particular, OOPS programs are organized around objects. So how we are going to design a program, how we are going to write a program using the objects. That's what it is trying to say. An object can have its own data and functions. There are multiple objects in a class, and each object has its own data. Data means variables. Each object can have its own data, and each object can have its own functions. So that's what it's trying to say here. OOP programs are organized around objects which contain both data and functions that act on the data. An object has its own data and functions which acts on a particular data. All this you will come to know. Okay, I'll directly take the example and then I will come to theory. I think that will be better. Then you will be able to relate what I am trying to say. I will take this example. I'll directly start with the example first. So you will come across multiple terms which I'll clear then and there while explaining the program. See, here's a code of C++. In this, I have used a header file, iostream.h, conio.h, that I don't have to explain now. And this program has got class. This program has got class whose name is ABC. The name of the class can be anything. You can give your name, anyone's name, any subject name, whatever you choose, whatever you feel like. You can give any name to a class, but you have to make sure that before the class name, you have to use the class keyword. See, I've not told you theoretical part it is. Just you assume that in a program, we can have a class. To declare a class, I have to use class keyword. Class keyword. I have to use class keyword here, and then only this class keyword is followed by the class name, and the name can be any name you can give. Here I have given the name of the class as ABC. Okay. You have to use, if you want to create a class, you'll have to use keyword class and space name of the class. Fine. Then you'll have to open the curly braces of this class. So whatever you are going to write after this curly braces is for class ABC. Fine. Then there are access specifiers. Access specifier we had discussed in 11th standard also, if you remember. What are the access specifier? Can anyone tell me? Access specifiers. The another term for access specifier is access modifier. So can anyone tell me what is access specifier? Anyone? Public and private are the access specifiers. I had told you in 11th standard. What are public and private?
Ma'am, access in this access is not restricted, it's protected. Access is limited to the containing class in this one. That is access modifier.
Hmm. So access specifiers in C++ object-oriented programming are of three types: private, public, and protected. Private, the name suggests. It is private to a class. Anyone outside member cannot access it because it is private to a class. It's private. Public, anyone can access it. And we'll come to protected later. What is protected? I'll tell you later. But for now, just you have to keep in mind the access specifiers are of three types: public, private, and protected. Private, as the term suggests, it's private. No one can access it. Public, anyone can access it. So here's a class. You by now you know how to declare a class, and then you have to open the curly braces so that whatever you write after this curly braces belongs to class ABC. Then can you see I have used int data. Here data is a variable. A variable name can be any name: A, B, C, X, Y, Z, P, Q, R. I have given the name of the variable as data. You can give any name to the variable. A normal variable we used to declare in the basics of C++, where we had studied. What we had to do, we had to declare a variable, we had to give the data type of the variable and the name of the variable. Same thing is here also, the name of the variable and the data type of the variable. So data is a variable here, and the data type for this variable is int. And can you see I have declared it as private. That means this data is private to class ABC. So anything outside the class cannot access this variable because it is private to class. Anything outside the class cannot access it. So how I can determine what is outside the class? Can you see this curly braces? I had told you, if I want to specify anything in the class, then I have to open the curly braces, and whatever I'm going to write within this curly braces will belong to class ABC. So where it is getting closed? here. Curly braces and semicolon. This means here the class is closed. To close whatever is there in the class, you'll close it using the curly braces and semicolon. So whatever is within these two curly braces is falls under class ABC. So this int data is private to class ABC, and anything outside the class, this is outside the class, anything outside the class cannot access this variable of class ABC. Got it? Now, here it is given. Can you see this is a function? We used to declare a function in simple basics of C++. We can give any name to the function, any name which you feel like you can give. Here I have given the name of the function as get data. Here I have given the name of the function as get data, and the returning of the function determines what data type should be. Since this function is not going to return anything, so I will give the data type as void. Okay, and as you can see, the access specifier of this function is public. So anything outside the class can access this function of class ABC because this is public. So how you will declare anything as private and public? You'll have to use it.
Ma'am, get data is not a variable, right? Or is
It's
it a
a
variable?
function. It's a function.
It's a function. Okay, it's a function. It's like main function, right?
No, for main function you have to use main keyword.
Oh yes, yes. Sorry, sorry.
This is a normal function.
Okay, ma'am.
So how you can use the access specifier? You will have to use the keyword either as private or public, and the colon. You have to use the colon. Either I can declare this variable as private like this also. I can use it this way also. Not necessary soon after the colon. Not necessary. Okay. And I can declare
Yes, ma'am.
anything as public like this also. Not necessary soon after the colon. And even fine. This is clear to you how we can declare. And also in the C++ is case sensitive. Case sensitive means capital letters. If you use capital letter in private, then it will not recognize this keyword. Small p and capital P makes difference in C++. C++ is case sensitive. If it is small p, then you have to specify the small p. You cannot use capital P. But HTML is not case sensitive. Capital letters and small letters doesn't make any difference, but in C++ it matters. So this was private. If I write, for example, char d semicolon, so this variable is also private because it falls under private now. So this is also private. Now in public we have a function.
We have to remove the comma when you're writing another this, right?
Here,
You have to put a comma if you're writing char, or you have to put semicolons only too.
oh, you have to write the keyword char and any variable name semicolon.
Okay, so both should have a semicolon.
Yeah,
Alag alag rahe.
if you want to declare any integer variable other than data also, you can do it this way also, or you can do it this way also. Got it?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to say this char d is also a private if you write something like this. Now in public we have get data. In public we have get data. This function, what is this function going to do? It's not going to return anything. That's why its return type is void. And what it's going to do? It's going to print this. Cout is used to print enter number. Cin is used to take input from the user. So I don't have to explain you what is cout, what is cin. And after inputting the data from the user, I will print the value of this data. I hope you don't have any doubt in this cout cin. Is there anyone who has any doubt related to this? Because if you will not understand this, then further I will not be able to explain you. You will not be able to understand. Is there anyone who has doubt related to this? If you have, you can ask. Fine, so I'll continue. And I've closed this function. So here I have declared a function and here I have defined the function. And I can also use multiple functions, not necessarily only one function in the class. I can use any function, multiple functions within the class. And this function will also be public because here I have used public keyword. If you want to make it private, then you will have to use private keyword. Okay. So I hope private and public is clear to you. Private access specifier and public access specifier. If you want to make any variable as public, then after this you'll have to write public and then you will write intb, any variable you can declare. Okay. Is this clear to you? So here I have closed the class ABC. This much clear to you? Any doubt related to this?
Yes, no, ma'am.
Okay. If you would have given it here also, now intb, then also this would have been fine because this variable is also public and this is also public. Fine. Then here the class ABC is closed. And can you see the main function? I had told you the execution of the program always starts from the main function, no matter what you written before the main function or after the main function. Whatever you have written before this doesn't matter. Execution of the program always starts from the main function. Whatever you have written here doesn't matter until and unless your program has main function, because execution of the program always starts from the main function. The compiler looks for the main function. If it has found, so whatever is defined in this main function will be executed. Got it? So for today we will do it up till here only, and in next lecture we will continue this code. And I just want you to keep whatever I have explained till here in your mind. Okay, so what you have to keep in your mind: how to declare a class, access specifiers, how we can use access specifier public and private to declare a variable or to declare a function. Okay, and how to close a class, and execution of the program always starts from the main function. So this is it for today. We will stop here.